Let me start off by saying that obviously my hope is not for you to fail as a new reseller, but my hope with today's video is to prevent you from falling into 5 of the most common pitfalls I see new resellers falling into. Just 5 common mistakes that prevent new resellers from realizing their potential when it comes to their reselling business. I hope that this video is helpful, just like I hope my channel overall is helpful for those who are especially a little bit newer to reselling. So if you want to see what 5 things to stay away from in order to protect your reselling business, stay tuned. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I have been a part-time reseller on platforms like Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, Depop, and I've tried also places like Kidizen and Facebook Marketplace and Shopify. I've done all those different things, and I've been reselling since December of 2017. So really, I would say since 2018, but I have been reselling part-time on the side of my full-time job as a high school choir teacher. So I've been doing it for a while. I've never taken the plunge and thought to myself, let's do this full-time and have that be my only source of income. I enjoy teaching too much, and I feel a very strong sense of fulfillment from it. So definitely still doing that. But in this video, I wanted to share with you 5 common reasons that cause a lot of new resellers to quit, to give up. And we're going to dive into these things to hopefully help you prevent from falling into any of these traps. So let's get right into it with our first reason. The first reason why I see a lot of new resellers fail is because right from the beginning, they start shopping like they are full-time resellers. And what I mean by that is they just go crazy. They go to the thrift stores, they go to garage sales, they fill their cars, and they buy so much stuff before having done research on what will actually sell well, before practicing the art of reselling, the art of photographing items, the art of listing those items, the art of shipping. They just stockpile a huge amount of inventory, and they kind of keep at it and then realize, holy cow, I have just spent a lot of money, but I don't really know how to make any money off of the things that I have purchased. And at that point, a lot of people freak out and they just try to liquidate all of the inventory that they have accumulated. When you have so much inventory taking up space in your house and you're not making money off of it, you get overwhelmed really easily, and you also start to lose motivation because you feel like it's too big of a task to tackle. You feel defeated by the mountain of clothing, and you feel like it's not something that you can tackle. That's the main reason why my number 1 tip for resellers is to start with what you have at home. Don't even spend money on inventory. Don't go to thrift stores. Don't go to garage sales. Start with the things that you have at home. Look through your closet, your partner's closet, your children's closet. Ask your friends and family if they have clothes that they no longer wear, and practice photographing and listing and shipping out those items, because the first thing you should do is make sure that you even like reselling. Maybe you'll find, like my sister-in-law did, as you go through the process that you actually hate it.
This is the worst.
Like you actually hate everything about reselling, and at least you've saved yourself the trouble of spending all of this money on inventory that you're never going to get around to listing because you hate everything about reselling. So in order to stay away from making that first big mistake that I see a lot of resellers make, I would start by selling through what you have at home that you no longer use. The second reason why I see a lot of new resellers quit pretty early on in their reselling journey is because they expect success right away. You know, if you're anything like me, you started reselling because you stumbled across reselling content online. The reason I got into reselling is because I tried selling clothes at Plato's one day. It was really good stuff. A lot of it was new with tags, but it was more mature brands like J. Crew and Banana Republic. And my local Plato's closet said that it just wasn't the kind of stuff that they were buying right now. And I remember just doing a quick Google search of like, where else can I sell my clothes? And that's when I learned about Poshmark. So I did a deeper dive into Poshmark. What is it? How do I sell on it? What are the different steps? And as I was doing that deep dive, I was finding content on YouTube from people who were claiming to make a full-time income from selling used clothing on Poshmark and on eBay. And that's when I started thinking to myself, maybe once I'm done selling through my old clothes and my husband's old clothes, maybe I can do what these people are doing and I can go to thrift stores and garage sales and find more inventory to sell myself. But what I did was I started with the clothes that I had tried to take to Plato's that they wouldn't buy from me. I listed those items, and after about 2 weeks, I made my first sale. It was a pair, I still remember, it was a pair of my husband's Toms, and I think they sold for like $15, but I was instantly hooked. I thankfully have this weird personality trait where I like to grow things from the ground up. I like to build things and see how big I can get them to be. I'm like that with gardening, and I'm just like that with things business related. I like to take something from nothing and grow it into something as big as I can. So for me, I was okay with the start of my reselling journey being really slow. I made that first sale, like I said, in 2 weeks, and then maybe a week or two later, another sale trickled in, and I just slowly kept listing things. I just continued to stay consistent, and I saw sales start to become a little bit more regular. I did have in the back of my mind, from having watched a lot of people's what sold videos and things like that, I knew what was possible, but I didn't hold myself to that impossible standard yet, because I knew that it was silly of me to expect those kinds of results when I didn't yet have the time, the experience, and the consistency that was necessary in order for me to see those kinds of results. So I just kept chugging along, doing my thing, trying to be as consistent as possible. And I would say maybe about, I don't know, like 4 or 5, 6 months in, that's when sales kind of became somewhat regular. Like I was getting, 5 to 10 sales a week, and that was so exciting. And then that grew to like 10 to 15 and 15 to 20, and it just continued to grow. So I think a lot of resellers see content online, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram, or they read about things on Reddit. They see the kinds of numbers people are pulling, and they think to themselves, I can do that, easy peasy. They work their butts off for maybe 1-2 weeks, and it's crickets. They have no sales to show for their time and their effort, and a lot of people hang up their hats and they say, that's it. This doesn't work for me. It's a scam. People don't actually make money doing this. It is one of those things that you have to put a good amount of time and effort and energy into for a decent amount of time. I would say give it a solid 3 to 6 months before you'll really see any consistent results. And a lot of people just don't have the patience to wait out that time period. I would go so far as to even say that platforms like eBay, they almost make you wait it out. They make you kind of earn the right to sell on eBay. And what I mean by that is when you get started on eBay, you're only allowed to list a certain number of items or up to a certain amount. Like you can only, I don't remember the exact number. Once you hit that threshold of, I don't know, let's say it's like $1,000. Once you have $1,000 worth of stuff listed in your eBay store, they're like, okay, hold up.
Wait a minute.
You can't list anymore until people start buying some things from you and leaving you some positive feedback. And it's, again, hard for those who are a little bit more impatient to wait out that period, not knowing that there's a lot of great sales to be made on the other side. They just don't even give themselves that opportunity to get there. So I think a lot of people quit because it takes too long for it to be something that they see as a viable source of income. I would say wait it out. Good things come to those who wait. The third reason why I think a lot of new resellers fail is similar to what I just shared, and that is they compare themselves to more successful and more seasoned resellers. Even for myself, I find myself falling into this trap, and I've been at this for a long time, definitely long enough to know better, but I often find myself watching other people's what sold videos or seeing their package pictures on Instagram and feeling really bad about myself because I'm comparing what I did that week to what this other person did. And I forget that what's important is context. It's important to keep in mind, maybe this person over here who sold 100 things, they do this with their partner and that is all they do. They don't have another job. That is their full-time job. And maybe they don't have kids yet. There are a lot of things to take into account, whereas I have to remember I'm just doing this on the side. I'm doing this on the side of my full-time job that keeps me very busy with a lot of rehearsals and performances before and after school. Right now, even I am exhausted because of my full-time job. I have 2 kids that keep me very busy and also make me very tired. I have responsibilities at church. There's a lot going on, and it's not comparing apples to apples. I cannot look at someone else's success and declare myself a failure as a result. It doesn't work that way. And I think a lot of people get stuck in the comparison comparison game, and therefore they quit because they think to themselves, I'm not that, so this isn't worth doing. One of the things you have to ask yourself is, what is your goal? Why did you get into reselling in the first place? Are you looking to make an extra $100 a week? That's definitely doable. And if that's all you need, and that's the reason why you are adding this to your plate in the first place, every time you hit that 100 a week, celebrate. Yeah, it's not the 1,000 or the 7,000 or the whatever that someone else is making. Who cares? That's not why you got into this. You got into this to bring an extra $100 home to your family a week, and that's an admirable thing that you're doing. So definitely make sure, if you need to, every once in a while, put your blinders up. It's okay to silence the noise around you, to focus on your goals, to focus on your victories, and to pat yourself on the back when you know you've done something pretty great. Even though maybe in the eyes of other people, it's not as great as someone else, that doesn't matter. It's what you set out to do. And if you were able to accomplish that, that's friggin' amazing.
Thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Kittl. Kittl is an intuitive graphic design tool that you can access through their website, and it helps you if you are not as gifted when it comes to graphic design like myself. As you can see on their website, they have a ton of different templates and just resources in helping you create graphic design products. Kittl has it for you. So let's just take a quick peek at some of the different offerings that they have. If you are in need of a logo, maybe you want your banner on Poshmark to look really nice, this is where you can create something like that. Like I said, I have thank you cards that I send out with all of my packages, and you can create a beautiful thank you card with Kittl. You don't even have to start from scratch. Look at all of these different templates that they have that you can kind of work with, that you can start off with. It gets rid of so much of the work that you have to do at the beginning, but it enables you to start with something really beautiful and just kind of put your personalized touches to it. And finally, I appreciate Kittl for all of the different YouTube resources like YouTube thumbnails, banners for your YouTube channel. Those are things that are difficult to create. Here's the YouTube banner. They're kind of difficult to create from scratch, and it's just really nice to have templates already in place with the dimensions that you need for all of your different projects. It's a huge time saver. And if you want to learn more about Kittl, including how to upgrade to their paid version, although you can get a lot done with even just the free version, if you want even more resources, even more available at your fingertips, I will have the link down in the description below with my coupon code so that you can save even more for your small business.
The fourth reason I think a lot of new resellers fail right at the beginning is because they don't take the time to create systems. And when I say systems, I mean systems for everything. Like, what is your system for how you process inventory once you get it home from the thrift store or from the garage sale? What is your system for if and when an item is returned to you? What is your system for doing an inventory check? Is it something that happens annually? Is it something that happens at all? I'll be honest with you, even at my full-time job, I am very much a fly by the seat of your pants type of girl. Like, I'm not very organized. I'm not logistically gifted. I just kind of know how to put my head down and do the work, but oftentimes I don't work smarter, I just work harder, which is silly. So in many ways, I've taken steps back to do things like create systems. So now when I bring my items home from a thrift store, I have a system where I will pull up List Perfectly. I'll start a draft with every item that I've brought home. I'll put in how much I paid for the item, where I got the item, the date that I purchased the item, I'll weigh the item, and all of that happens before I even take pictures of anything. And that's so I have an accurate account of how much I'm actually paying for my inventory, and I can keep track of where I'm getting great inventory. I have a system now for how I sit down and do my bookkeeping for all of my sales. A lot of that is just due to the weekly What Sold videos that I do. I do my bookkeeping for the purpose of the What Sold videos. If I didn't film those, I feel like my books would be trash. But I have systems in place now for how I do that. I am working on the inventory check because that is still something that I have not done in many years. I am still working on what happens when a return comes in. I'm building a system. It could be better, but you want to make sure that you have systems in place so that as your business grows, you are not overwhelmed by all of the little mundane details and all of the little tasks that have to get done, but instead you have systems in place for how you do things, and now those things just happen like clockwork without you you even having to really put any thought or energy into those tasks at hand. So I would say the beginning is the best time to create systems. Right now, figure out how are you going to store your inventory? How are you going to track your inventory? Schedule a day every year or every 6 months that you're going to do an inventory check. Put it in your calendar right now and make it a non-negotiable. These are things that if you can do them from the beginning and grow your business with these systems in place, you're going to make your life so much easier. Do as I say, not as I do. The final reason why I think a lot of new resellers fail is because they try to grow too fast. And when they grow too fast, it often leads to burnout. It actually often leads to burnout before they're even really making good profit. I actually got a comment from someone in a video. It was a video that I made about why you should start reselling now. If you've been putting it off, do it now. And that person said, I think that this is kind of a taboo topic in that a lot of people who have been in the reselling game for a long time are giving up. They're stepping away from it and they're going back to regular salary jobs because it's a hard job to sustain. It's not a dependable job. And that person was right. There are a lot of big names in reselling who actually are no longer reselling or are no longer counting on reselling as their primary and only source of income. And that's because it's not dependable. You are at the mercy of the economy of the country that you are in. You are at the mercy of whether or not you have access to good inventory. You are at the mercy of whether or not you are healthy enough to go out and find items, to photograph them, to list them, to ship them. There are a lot of variables and there are a lot of things that can flip in a second and make it much harder for you to make the kind of income that you need to make. And here's a hot take. I think it is actually very difficult for most people to make enough money from reselling to live off of. There are people who do it, don't get me wrong, but I would argue that it's more uncommon than it is common. And I would also argue that a lot of those people maybe don't have things like families, they don't have a lot of other things going on. And a lot of those people would probably tell you that it is really hard and it is kind of all consuming. It's all they think about. It's all they do. They're working really long hours. And for that reason, I would say it makes sense not to grow too fast. Like I said earlier in the video, what is your goal when it comes to reselling? If your goal really is to create a reselling business that makes enough money for you and your family to live off of, just know that that might mean having to hire people out in the future. It might mean having to procure a space where you can do your reselling. If your home isn't large enough to store all of your inventory, you might need to build a shed in your backyard. It could mean a lot of different things, and you have to ask yourself, is that something I want to do? Personally, I think it makes sense to take your time when it comes to reselling. Take your time learning how to do it right. Take your time and create systems as you grow. That way, you're only ever going to do what you know is manageable versus getting in over your head. And that's similar too, right, to the first point that I made, which is that some people just from the beginning start shopping like this is what they do for a living. You don't want to grow too fast and make silly mistakes along the way and upset potential customers because you've lost an item or because you missed a flaw because you were just moving too quickly through your photographing. You want to build a business that will last. You want to build a business that you can be proud of, and you want to make sure that as you're building that business, you're not ignoring other parts of your life that are also just as important. Things like your own health, things like your other relationships. You want to make sure that you are leaving space and time for those things as well so that you are taking care of the whole person, not just the business person. So in conclusion, here I am about 6 years later, and to be honest with you, all of the biggest pitfalls that I just shared, they are definitely things that I have personally struggled with. I have definitely gotten frustrated when I felt like I didn't experience the kind of success that I should. You know, I'd been at it for a while and these people are doing so well and I'm only making these kinds of numbers. I definitely wasted a lot of time and energy comparing myself to other resellers. I definitely still, to some degree, don't have all of the systems in place that I would like to have. And there were times when I was growing too fast and I was taking on too much. And as a result, I was doing a mediocre job at many things versus doing a good job at a few things. I've done all of those things. I have made those mistakes, but I've come out the other side and lived to tell my story. So like I said earlier, do as I say, not necessarily as I do or as I did, because I think I'm getting better. And when I think about why didn't I fail, in the sense of why didn't I give up? Why didn't I stop reselling? Part of it is I do genuinely enjoy it, and I think there are some people who will find along the way that they just do not. I enjoy putting the work in and seeing the money come out as a result, but it's not because I'm better than anyone. It's not because I have a gift for it. It's just because I kept showing up. Even when times got hard, even when the economy would change, even when platforms would do funky things and make weird changes that nobody asked for, I would keep showing up. I would keep listing. I would try to stay as consistent as possible. And yes, the amount that I earned also fluctuated. And I'll be honest with you, right now, I'm not making nearly as much as I did even 3-4 years ago. But I continue to show up. I continue to give my best. And as a result, I continue to earn what I think is life-changing money for myself and my family. And for a lot of people, it doesn't take a huge amount for that to become life-changing. For some of you, you really only need $100 a week to help you pay a car payment that has been very difficult to pay thus far. Most of us don't need big, grand numbers in order to help ourselves and the financial situations that we find ourselves in, or to help our families. You know, even if it's for something as simple as paying for piano lessons for your kid or something like that, everyone could use a little bit more money. And I do think that that kind of money is accessible to everyone through reselling. You just have to keep showing up, and you just have to know you are going to make some of these mistakes. There's no denying that. There's no getting around that, but you just have to learn from them, keep going, keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I promise you, there is money to be made. My hope is that this video is helpful for at least one person, that you're able to learn from the mistakes that I made and hopefully prevent yourself from making the same ones. Or hopefully this video serves as a reminder that you are not alone if you have made all 5 of these mistakes or even more. We all do it. We all have to sometimes learn the hard way. And I just wanted to share my experiences with you so you know you're not alone, and maybe I can save you some headache. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe if you enjoy content like this, and let me know down in the comments below what are some other things that you think new resellers especially need to be aware of. Let's all share our wisdom with one another. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.